Okay, my friend, there's an elephant in the room that we need to just handle head on. And I think Balegile that because this is going out everywhere, that we read out a statement from Gagasi FM about what has been happening. And then we'll get into the details of what you see Senzani. Right, so it's dated 5th September 2019, Gagasi FM statement on the on-air protest and the way forward. Gagasi FM management has engaged with Jab Zwane, Brighton Dooley and Zisto following their on-air protest this morning. Under normal circumstances, such actions would have necessitated a direction towards a disciplinary process. However, having engaged them and getting to understand the reality of the moment that sparked their reaction, the management has come to realize the depth of the damage that violence against women is causing in society. The message that they were driving was clear. Imagine a KZN without female voices, hence their walk off from on air. Gagasi FM would also like to put it on record that the on-air protest today had nothing to do with the internal working environment within the station, but it had everything to do with the continuous women abuse that we're currently witnessing around the country. This is no longer about an individual and whether you are a male or female or whether your hands are clean or not. This has become an issue for all of us, and it requires all of us to take a stand and say something needs to happen and demand action. We also noted the social media post from the Durban Survivors page where claims of sexual abuse by two of our male presenters were made. The management has engaged the two presenters concerned on these reports and will be closely monitoring further developments, if any, on the matter. Unfortunately, given the nature of the platform that was used to publicize such claims, we are unable to reach out to the alleged victims to get their side of the story. While we understand the sensitivity of these matters and we firmly maintain our stand against women abuse in any form or shape, we do, however, have a duty to act within the confines of the law. As stated above, this is not about any individual. It is not about any Gagasi FM male presenter. It is about a crisis that we're all facing, and with that comes a very critical question. What are we all doing about it, Senzani? You guys are aware of the statement?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. We'll try and keep this as relaxed as possible. I know we had a meeting, Skamajit, with Ronda, the MD, and he said, hey, we are sola in Caesar, zining aiming. Because the story about it is that what came to mind in me was everybody started downloading on my file, if you can be honest, saying, you know the thing I did or when I was with Tibanbani, was that consensual? Did she agree? Did I coerce her? Are my hands clean? Then I saw another post from somebody on Facebook saying, can any man stand up and say they've never engaged in any form of sexual abuse, knowingly or unknowingly? Because I think the conversation starts with Tina. Are we aware when we indulge in sexual abuse? Think back to Usakul, and you saw these things. Are you aware, Uguti, have you become the person you used to see doing stuff? Or Gafanagwe? So let's frame the conversation by saying, from what you know now about the claims and certain allegations and things being handled in court right now, what would you say to the young Jing, the 10-year-old Jing, with what you know right now?
To be honest, I would tell the 10-year-old Jing to spend as much time with Ubaba as possible. You know, going back to Lendoga Duisho, Vuguti, Sakula, you know, I feel Uguti, you know, Mzat is a fatherless nation, right? There are a lot of single parents out here, and looking at our generation specifically, a lot of us were raised by women, right? Absent fathers. If the father is in the household, he's either drinking or he's out there doing something, but he's never home. So a lot of guys in our generation, we have a hard time looking for a male father figure to guide us and to teach us how to talk to, how to treat, how to respect women. So Manje, what do we do as a young boy growing up? Because I mean, you know, at some point you grow up and you realize, okay, I'm attracted to women, right? You turn to friends. So now friends are teaching us, we're teaching each other as friends how to talk to women, how to treat women, you know, or maybe mhlawumbe khona lelo ankele leli that everybody like, you know, likes or hamba ngemoto blind or whatever, and you look up to him. He may not be the best example, mhlawumbe uyawashaya amantombazane udume ukuthi verse into yakho whatever, but as a young boy, that's the father figure that we have. But now if we like, I feel like that's how we got here, and we can all agree with each beat, right? But now, how much worse is it going to be for the next generation? Ngoba manje, it's still happening. A lot of guys aren't owning up to impregnating young ladies right now, and it's getting worse. Ngoba manje, sekhona the party lifestyle, the nightlife lifestyle. A lot of us think the party isn't over, like the party is over for us. But that, sonke silazi uyahlanganisa ikhalenda manje. 30 years old, we are grown men. So imagine if we, like most of us, if we carry on with this nightlife situation, the children are watching us, right? We may not see it, but the children are watching us. It's going to get to a point where they're going to be worse than us, you know. So I feel Uguti, we need father figures. We need Uguti Amachita to take responsibility and be fathers.
Okay, we'll come back to the nightlife, because I know Easy touched on that on his show recently. Picking up on a point he made, Uguti, we are growing up in a fatherless South Africa. Some fathers are present, but ngegama, right? Is what he's saying a generalization, or
I can say it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is true. Izinto lezi ziyenzeka. At some point, nami ngazibala lapho ukuthi I was once guilty of doing such, like abandoning uma wengane. Ingane isanda kuzalwa. Yabo. And then, but eventually I came back to my senses in whatever and I'm playing a big part in raising my son. Yabo, he's 7 years old now. Yabo. But at some point I did that, and I see it happens like a lot of times. A lot of guys are leaving their old baby mama. Angazi ukubaxaniswa yini kuze kuqhamuka amagama between unengafi or whatever nani. Give them names, but is it necessary? Like ngempela, like why kufanele thina ezobaba silandelwe for ukuthi sikhulise ingane zethu? And it's not about ukuthi uyayondla kuphela osimali whatever nani. Kufanele le ngane ikhule ngaphansi kwesandla sabazali bobabili. Kufanele umama abe nendima ayidlalayo, ubaba abe nendima ayidlalayo, so that ingane izofunda izinto from both parents. Yeah. Especially masisaphila. You understand if mawukuthi khona into seshonile, but mani khona nobabili. Base ukuthi ingane ikhula from umzali oyiwani kuphela, and wena baba ukhona but ubusy, uyagroove, or you're doing whatever, or you're busy namanye amantombazane, but ingane yakho laphana doesn't get uthando yolefana ngabe yalithola, then obviously they're going to end up doing izinto ezizophuma esandleni. Yabo into leyo. Ezinye izinto mhlawumbe uzobuka ukuthi ngempela, because umzali uma wayo thola ukuthi ubhitha ngempela, and uzogcina seyichetha hayi baba wakho ndiza namantombazane nani yabo lonto leyo, you planting something emqondweni omntwana. So I think Unjinga is accurate, is correct. Yes.
The 10-year-old Sonic, what do you say to him right now? Because Nyoba Unjinga died.
Take your time. Don't rush life. Don't do things just because you want to look cool. You know, growing up in Lokshini, we go through so many pressures from Abangan. You know. Not bearing in mind that some of the friends we make are older than us. They've been through things at an earlier age, or somebody's cut to look back at. For example, when I gave up my virginity, I could definitely say I wasn't ready. And all I thought about is walking out a car, telling how much you thought, it's gone, guys. Like I can relate now, I can be, I feel like a man, but I don't know,
part of the crew.
I didn't know what I was doing though. Maybe I even ill-treated the girl, because I just wanted what I wanted. And once I got it, I just moved on to another better girl. You know, it was always about Wutokesha, about. So at 10-year-old Sonic, I would definitely sit him down, talk, obviously, explain my challenges in life, try to make him understand what to get a relationship in. Because right now we're all looking for a good woman, but what are the fundamentals of a good woman? It's not just a pretty face. It's not just how good she is in bed. It's not about that. It's about finding a person that motivates, now motivates, and be passionate about life and living your dreams together.
into Flair, you know, to 7.
Yeah.
Okay, it's about a 10-10. Do you think I assume he'll listen? Because the funny thing about kids want to experience life themselves. We ourselves, the 10-year-old you got the conversation, but forgot the conversation immediately. Ne? Do you think he's going to get the message? The 10-year-old Flair June?
To be entirely honest, where that is concerned, Flair can try really hard to play his part as Baba, you know, but it's entirely up to the son to take any advice or not, because in this we've seen so many cases whereby umuntu comes from a background that is strong. What is regarded as a strong background, if you're a black person, is you come from a home where there's a mom and there's a dad. Both of these parents, they try really hard to make sure that you become something. You know, they advise you and so on, but still in the midst of everything, because of the choices that you make in life, because of the crew that you involve yourselves with, you find yourself ungasakwenzi imiyalelo yasekhaya, you know. So Ufle, what I say, Ufle can play his part into making sure ukuthi intwana yakhe iyakhula iyalalela and does accordingly, but it's entirely up to intwana yakhe ukuthi uzoyithatha leyo yalelo.
But is that fair? I'm sorry to use Flair as an example, because you see, at some point we need to agree ukuthi, in as much as a person is their own person, we need to mold the characters.
Yes.
The nation is up in flames.
Yeah.
Things are rotten. How do we fix it? Too often you talk about when people say their kids are problematic at schooling. The teachers will say, let's go fix it. So then if our kids, we say, no, I've done my best, is that ever going to be good enough? Because we will have the same conversation in 5, 10, 15, 20 years' time, and that won't fix things. Because ultimately, we're talking about molding a character who's able to distinguish between right and wrong. Reading somebody what is right and wrong is not enough. Yeah. And I say this as a parent, and I'm a parent to boys and girls. We're going to come to that particular discussion.
I think the problem starts here. If when you are going to make sure ukuthi intwana yakho iyalalela.
Yeah.
But now the problem is ukuthi intwana yakho spends about 8 hours schooling, and if he gets to school, ahlale nonjinga no Sonic no Makhosi abaphuma ekhaya abangafundiswanga. Obviously intwana yakho ilalela will be overpowered by these three. Peer pressure. That's where it comes to play. So if we can make sure ukuthi every home is making sure ukuthi intwana yakhona okanye intombazana yakhona ingane yakhona intombazane is being taken care of. So noma isiphuma isiya ngaphandle, there is i-risk encane ukuthi izos-associate nabantu abangakhuliswanga kahle.
I hear you 100%. But you see, it comes also back to the discussion is going to where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it comes to that, the only way you can withstand peer pressure is if your character is right. So how do we mold character? How do we mold that strength?
Personally, I don't think there's a certain formula, but being that I just recently had a kid, my son is 6 months, I always see in him this thing of wanting to make his own decisions at that young age.
Sure.
Personally feel that it's very important as a parent to learn to support, even though you don't understand, learn to support, because Tina, sitting here right now, I can definitely testify, Guti, when you got up one day and you said you wanted to be part of the entertainment industry, it was really hard. I remember high school, I was a very good rugby player, I played Craven Week, and I just never got the support. It was like, I was only man, and personally, being a father now, I've learned or understanding the importance of supporting my decisions and finding a way to communicate and okay, this is wrong, this is right. So once you do that, when and I believe my decisions, I. So once they go out there and they are confident with ish, I don't think I'm rolling with the right people. I must believe what's okay, sharp. I can move away from these people. Have an open relationship with Inga, and don't be this parent oh hey yabo like ingane me wrong again, sit the child down. Like, okay, why did you do this? Okay, it's fine, it's okay, but this was wrong. Rather, tati pep, you know, let's try finding channels of channeling a right decision, but also allowing the child to make their own decision and hopefully find a way to say, okay, this is right, this is wrong.
Jinga, let's fast forward. This is really
I was really first, like.
No, don't worry about it. It's the point I'm making. The point is, fast forward to you as a proud father, not to a son, to a daughter.
Actually, I'm expecting a daughter.
Oh,
What a guy.
Wait. Okay, so what does the world look like for your daughter that's on the way?
In my shade, like it's HIV.
Sure.
And yeah, right now, okay, we're talking about one aspect,
Yep.
right? But I mean, there's so many different other aspects. There's tribalism, there's xenophobia, there's the economic situation, there's unemployment, there's a whole lot of things that are against, especially young black children. So, like, the only thing I can do is just be there. That's the only thing I can do. I mean, like Usonik is saying, the only way you can mold a character, right? And like what he was saying, that like children will get influenced. The only way to mold the character is to be there. You have to be there. But if you're not there, then like how are you gonna help in preparations? Being is cool either way, whether you're there or not. So I mean, the only thing I can do is to make sure I equip my daughter or my children, because I would love to have more. It's just to equip them with my knowledge of umhlaba losiphila kuwona. I mean, I can't protect them forever, but I can give them the tools to protect themselves, just like how I was given the tools to protect myself. I'm not saying I'm something. But I mean, my mom did. She did all right, I suppose, as a single parent especially. So that's all I can provide. Whether I tell him or not, it doesn't matter. But this is the future kind of thing.
Sorry, I want to back in the day. Sometimes we would blame it because back in the day, back in the day, they just swept them under the carpet. For instance, growing up in us, there's only 2 or 3 things that you know is wrong. Basically, for instance, I shouldn't smoke. Smoking, drinking, those are 2 main things that you shouldn't do in front of Abatabata. But we never used to have a conversation about tea. Which is why we are here now. I'll say this. Being we environment where I was with abantu that came from different suburbs, so you're exposed to different kinds of living.
Sure.
For instance, when I got to high school, when my friend turned 18, he had his first beer with Babuaki, and they had a conversation. It's in my suburbs. Back in the day, a gas. Asimfunga lo phuzo Babuaki. No. Baba phuzo Baba ungahlanga lo. But they forget that bond I was having with Baba, I just turned 18, we are having a beer. You know, Baba would say, if you get clubbing, I will take you and pick you up when we're done. That's a conversation we're having in my suburb. Go to cars, we have a club low. Now the question is, we are one of the so not back in the day now, uningi abakwenza right equally to uningi abakwenza wrong.
Sure. They say it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
But I think you can imagine 2019 you do something because even your own child can sue you.
Any problem futhi it's leading by an example. Kunabantu abahlezi beforce ingane ukuthi hayi wena fanele wenze kanje nani, but phambi kwazo benze ezinye izinto. Bayakhohlwa ukuthi the best way to teach a child is to lead by an example. yabona ingane uma uyitshela one thing but ukwenza enye into yona izomaka lento yenzayo.
Do we have enough of those examples, which is what it comes to Obo back in the day? Do we have enough examples of good men, whatever that is? We'll come and define it and unpack it in a couple of seconds.
In 2019?
In 2019, yeah.
I have a question asking that. Are we judging people based on the present or their past being great? Because I personally feel that at some point in my life, I was very young. I remember first meeting with Gates Mackenzie. Gates Mackenzie is now a motivational speaker. He was part of crime back then, and he came to my school and he told his story, and I was so touched at a very young age, you know. So for me, I found an icon, but in background, I got right. But right now, it has led up to him saying, "I'm coming out with my story. I'm writing books, and this is the person I've become." You know, do we base these great men on what we see, or maybe listening to their story? This is where I come from. I think that's the question I have when I'm asked that. Like, do we look at the past or we just focus on the present? Abafundisi about ukuthi kodwa, you know, othisha about ukuthi kodwa.
I'd say I've got an answer, but I'd like you guys to try it first.
Mina ngayithatha ngenze example njengasemasontweni.
Yeah.
If umfundisi asikhulumi indaba present, if umfundisi eshumayela kahle, deliver ivesi right and whatever nana akhuluma zonke izinto ezi-right, but uyazi ukuthi outside of church wenza izinto eziseceleni, inhlonipho yesonto,
yeah,
nalabantu laba suke bahola kuba ne-effect ekhona. So it's more or less into ecishe ifanele kanjalo ukuthi angabe ukuthi uyayikhuluma kuphela izinto ukuthi okay akwenziwe kanje nani abantu bafuna ubuke babuyele kuwena.
Yeah.
Yes, ukuthi uyakhuluma uphinde uyenza. So awungathi mangabe utshela abantu ukuthi bangaphuza utshwala and then next thing sebehlangana nawe wena uyaphuza. They're gonna be like, but wena uyakwenza nje. Yabo le nto leyo.
Mina, it's what I always say even to my friends, ukuthi inspiration is everywhere. If you look around you, inspiration is just everywhere. Inspiration is with your younger sister, it's there with your niece, it's there with your gardener, it's there with your mate sometimes. It's just everywhere. So how I draw and say, okay, are there people that we can consider and say, okay, he's a great leader because he leads by example. I don't have that one person that I can say, flair. But I can tell you now what's okay into shaping and making me as the guy that I see myself as 10 years from now. I take from different people. From my course, I ngithatha nje indlela that you conduct yourself. From Usonic, ngithatha your work ethic. You know, and then I say I look up to this guy because of his work ethic. From Ufle, ngithatha nje the family guy that he is. So I take from different people. You know, because if we're being honest, no one is perfect. Sure. You may be the good guy, you may lead by example and whatnot, but it does not mean that you can perfectly. So I try to run away from that and say, but number 2 you should see him in front of people how he conducts himself. You know, so I take from different people. Would say, okay, this into making me.
Jim?
Yeah.
Can you please repeat the question so I understand?
So the question really is about, do we have enough role models to mold and groom Amachida to be the men we need them to be? We need us to be.
Young boys or not?
Us
to be the men we need to be.
These days, it should be from home.
Yep.
But because home, obviously, there aren't that many male figures. Now it's broad, according to social media. Because I could look at AKA and be like, hey man, this guy looks like he's a good family guy. So I want to be like that. I could look at someone else and be like, hey, this guy looks like he's a good family guy, you know? I feel like they are. They definitely are. But at the end of the day, we're still here. We're still having this discussion because, you know, clearly something is off the rail. Maybe there just needs to be fathers at home. Those are the only role models I think a child really needs everyone else, like Kizzy was saying, it's just to add on and make it better.
They do say, like I did mention, what it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
That's the golden expression in that
Yes.
easily, and there won't be issues. But the issue that you keep bringing up is that Kalekai. So if we start from a point of saying our fathers have failed us, before we come to what role we have played, how do we say, let's give the power back to men who are not aware of how much power they have? Or do we say we take it from them? Which is a flipped way of looking at the whole conversation. But because you can only do that once you reach a certain age. I mean, some households don't have father figures. Some households have neither mother or father figures. Who have literally had to groom themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it goes back to the whole character thing, but that's on the inside. And we're not all blessed to have that. So do we say to Oba, we call out Oba who are absent in terms of, it doesn't have to be physically present, but the values I have learned from Baba 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then say, whether it's a pledge to say, Yazin, I will be the man South Africa needs me to be. And then we look at what does that man look like? You know what I mean? If Ubaba has failed me, maybe Ubaba and he's just carrying on the best way he could because he said to himself, Flair will figure it out. But that attitude is not helping us. But is that the problem, or are we just violent as a people? Are we violent as a people because of the violence we see, or has social media made the violence that has always been there amplified?
I personally feel that I'd like to personalize it.
Yeah.
Tina, we are in between a generation whereby abanye bethu sikhuliswe ngokwesiko, abanye bethu sikhuliswe modern age.
Yeah.
So now there are things that we couldn't question, even if we do have fathers. We couldn't really question because you get an answer with a don't question me. But I feel as if most of the fathers they just write this perela and all I do is provide if I say this is green, whether when you're born blue, purple, I think that's where I personally feel it went wrong by us not being able to question, us not being able to be understood in terms of what you've invested in me. This is what I've picked up. So now when I come back home and say, what the so I even looking back to a conversation, the first time we spoke about sex with my dad, it was a very awkward conversation. I was already having it. So this guy is telling me in the nyazi of element, whereby I say I personally feel that at a young age, I mean, Elo was being bashed at school by teaching kids at that. But for some of us, that was the way of understanding Wuti. We can't afford to sit down with our parents because they just see me with that's it.
There's a video. I don't know how old this is, and you guys, because you guys live on social media, would know this. I believe it's called a Senzani, of a young man who assaulted a fellow student. I think and I think the son, the particular student was then traced to La Pashalakon. The father found out. Obaba, it's my poison. There are those examples. They're probably not enough because that is just I lack the words to describe what it would take. Because would you have done that as a parent? Because these are the things we need to do to say, as in, it's not right. we can't hide it. We were talking about sweeping things under. There's some things you can't. I think that is one of the most bravest souls I have seen in the longest of times. Because if you were to see that video, words fail me. It's like it's music a femicide, as they would say. The one that happens in our own backyard, let's say Whiteback. That is sad on many reasons. The one, it's murder. Two, it's because his wife wanted to divorce him.
Goes back to the issue of not
Rejection.
being able to take or no.
Yeah. It's just a sign of, there's a scale of these things. And it keeps coming back to the point of which Tina, as guys, are we aware when we do wrong and how far it can lead?
I personally feel that as an into maybe that could help, Tina, we've become a society that focuses on things, says
Sure.
I mean, not so long ago, Emma universities, there were problems. They want free education, they want this, they want that. We focus on things. We don't really focus on ground level.
Yes.
There's countries like China whereby Ingane is building something. There's this form of sense of responsibility when at this age fanele waki phone. Tina, we just out there living, and we just out there expecting our kids enjoy. And as a country, we just turn a blind eye on things and then just expect everything to just go right. I personally feel that Lumonto was a weapon, for an example. Lumonto there were incidents that were ignored. Let behavior go right. I personally feel that we should invest in our kids when they were young. Have men programs. Whether you got grade 8 or ban, we should look at you as a man, because askwazi ucabanga kanjani. Mhlawumbe ubuka intombazane ucabanga ukuyishaya ngerapeni. Yabo. Mhlawumbe ubuka intombazane you're saying you're a human being. Mhlawumbe ubuka another male figure ubona umuntu uthi I could be in a relationship. We don't know what's going on. But what we can do is just try to equip these people who's okay. But have a way of handling yourself, because we can't get into each other's thoughts.
And sure.
So when there's any problem, we are very picky if wrong.
Yeah.
It's easier to ubeshe umuntu ongamazi or omaziyo but ongekho close naye makuvela izinto ezithile ukuthi okay lona wenza nani noma umbona uyakwazi ukuthi umkhuze. But if your friend
It's doing it.
eshaya intombi yakhe phambi kwakho or if a client umuntu ba ukuthi so DJ nani and it's someone owns ama events okubhukayo and uyambona enza into ethile ethatha intombazane ingane eshaya intombazane you.
And this is because
This is true.
growing up in the household, you were told ungazingeni nabo zabantu.
Kodwa umuntu ongamazi uyakwazi uma ubona eshaya intombazane uhambe uyolamula. Yabo but lo okulethela something
Umaziyo.
protect.
I'm in two minds of bringing up babes on my page, but
I don't.
I won't. I'm going to touch on something from what you said, Sonic, and I did open up by saying our MD is also active on social media. Not as active as his, because his I don't think we are that. So he said that he doesn't believe Ama campaigns on social media, particularly on something like this, is helpful, because it can't become a basic appeal. Now, would a campaign like this would be directed at dear Mr. President, or going back to what Sonic says, which is at collecting? Uhulumen uzothala phambili. There's a lot of people best about to know bab hulumen. Sikhona. Sikwazi ucabanga. Is this a dear Mr. President campaign, or is it?
Definitely what Sonic said. It has to. It's the ground.
It's the ground level.
Ground level.
Like, I was part of a campaign, Yoksogwa, of which we were visiting schools, and the ambassador was Umelusi. So we got there, and Umelusi is always addressing students, people, nan. And this one time he just said, come through, just talk, share your story. You don't know who's listening, you know. And I told my story. Mina ngiphume lokushini angiziboni ukuthi mhlambe khosoma ubaba was there and learning ngathi umuntu nokuthi ke I got into a space of saying this is what I want and I'm going for it. But when I share it, and when you have people coming to you and saying, I wish I had it like you. I wish I had a person to just tell me, don't give up, just keep pushing, do things for the right reasons. Yeah, well, so I personally feel that we can't wait for a president. We can't wait for a person who knows what is a net budget. Start on a smaller scale you have. Qala ngomakhelwane, qala ngekasi lakho, qala ngesikole esingakini ukuthi okay, principal ngicela ukuvakasha, ngisebenza nohizi, ngisebenza nobani. Out of a not busy day, sicela ukunivakashela sikhulume nje nama students, you know.
And we don't expect anything in return.
You know, so that's our way of just giving back. You know, let's just hope that Uhulumeni once, maybe they say, okay, we need to invest in certain things, they'll consider us.
How do we get, and this is a point I raised earlier, how do we get men to take back the power? Because they've given it away.
When you say take back the power...
Take back the power of leadership. Take back the power of building character. Take back the power of being the foundation. We have given it to society, we have given it to women, we have given it to the kids themselves.
Now that's very
how do we get them to take back the power? Because if I give up my responsibility as a leader in my household, as a father to 2 young boys, and expect society to mold them, that is a joke. I need to have that power back.
What is power?
I'm saying power as in responsibility.
Nowadays, a woman would say, who says it's your responsibility? Because it should be even. Like,
no,
who says it as a man, you are the boss, you are the leader and whatnot. You know, that's a we also need to have at some stage that Buseka, we household, who's the leader, who's what, because at the moment, Buseka does not mean because you're a man, you now have the power, you're the leader, and we must listen to you and follow you.
You should just play your part in jail without mentality. What are you leading?
You can split hairs about it, but at the end of the day, you need to have direction. Direction comes from leadership. You can dress it up, or you can choose not to dress it up. Some people lead from the front, some people lead from the rear, some people lead by what and just a little nudge in the right direction will steer somebody away from harm and danger. But the point really is about your role. What is because if we go to leadership, we say, no, I'm not the boss. Okay, responsibility. Who's responsible for what? Who's responsible for grooming?
It's something.
I will groom, and then it becomes a big debate. This generation is not dead; it's very alive and kicking. This generation has an opportunity to fix things. It has an opportunity to mend their ways. It also has an opportunity to do worse than what we've had. So as long as we're kicking and breathing, let's have the necessary conversations. They may be difficult, but we require them. Some famous people have said that in order for evil to triumph, all that's required.
Good men to not do nothing.
Exactly. Thank you so much, guys. It was a cooking crew,